happy to be with you again today, and we are going to continue on our plant adventure. Hope you've been keeping those curious minds up. Today, we're going to talk about the 6 main parts of a plant and what those parts of the plant do for the plant. So just like us as humans, we have parts of our bodies that do have specific functions, things that they do. That's what a function is, things that they do to keep us alive. So let's think of an example. What is a part of your body maybe that you need to help you keep alive? How about your mouth? Yes. Our mouth is how we get nutrition into our bodies. So we have a mouth, that's the part of our body, and that's the function it serves. Another example might be our heart. Yeah, our heart beats and it pumps our blood that carries oxygen through our whole body. So that's another part of our body that we have to keep alive. So the plants that we're going to talk about today, because they're living things, also have certain parts of the plant that function to keep that plant alive. And we're going to dive right into our book today. I'm very excited about our book. The title of it is Plant Parts Smart: Science Adventures with Charlie, the Origami Bee. And Charlie, I'm so excited because Charlie is an origami bee and he is new to the bug world, but he knows all about plants. When the other bugs lose their ball, his plant smarts come in handy. We're going to buzz around with Charlie and learn all about plant parts too. Now you may be wondering what origami is. You may have heard of that. And it's from the Japanese language, and it just means paper folding or folding paper. And it's an artwork. You may have even done this in your class before, but you'll see. But this is Charlie up here. Let's see what happens on Charlie's adventure with the other bugs. Plant Parts Smarts. So Charlie, the origami bumblebee, wanted to wiggle his wings and check his stinger. He was brand new and he was handsome. But the boy who made him just wouldn't leave him alone. Charlie thought, go play with your friend. Then I can find some other bugs to play with. All the nearby bugs came to see this new visitor. And the fly says, who are you? And Charlie says, well, I'm Charlie. I'm a bug like you. And then the spider down here goes, you're not like any bug I've ever seen. You can't play with us. That sounds kind of ornery, doesn't it? The bugs started playing with a football. The spider passed the ball to the ant, but it skipped off the table and landed in the garden. Look what they're using as a football. What does that look like? It's a seed. Where did the ball go? The fly asks. Well, and Charlie says, well, that's not even a ball. It's a seed. Who cares, said the cricket. Let's go for it. Let's go look for it so we can keep playing. I think it went behind that thing over there. Wonder what the cricket's talking about. That thing is a stem. A stem is the part of a plant that grows out of the ground. A plant's leaves and flowers grow from it. Nutrients and water move up and down inside of it. That's real cool. I guess really we just wanted the football back. The ball isn't here, the fly says. They don't see that seed. See what happens. Remind me, why are we walking this far? To find the ball. I mean the seed, the beetle said here. And here's the ant. And to see this thing called a stem. A stem is supported by roots, says Charlie. Roots, said the fly. I read it in the kids' book. Roots grow underground and hold a plant in place. They suck up water and nutrients from the soil to feed the plant. The roots also store nutrients so the plant can survive during the winter and other tough times. So you got the roots and the stem. There's that spider. Can you play football with roots? Asked the fly. Yeah, right, said the spider over here. Charlie says, I don't think so, but humans do eat some roots, like potatoes and carrots. And Spider says, I don't care what humans do, and I don't care what paper bugs say. Well, Cricket down here says, I care what Charlie has to say. That's a pretty ornery spider there. Well, all right, said the ant. Does anyone see the football? You mean the seed, the cricket said. I don't see it, Charlie said. Let's check in the leaves. He flapped his paper wings and flew up to the lowest leaf. Leaves are really important, you know. Can you play football with them? Asked the spider. Probably not, Charlie says. Then the spider down here. Then I don't care. Actually, says the cricket, I care. Why are leaves so important, Charlie? Charlie begins to explain. Leaves soak up sunlight and turn it into energy for the plant. And I know you know that's called photosynthesis. The plant uses energy to take carbon dioxide from the air to make food for itself. Oh, yeah? What about pine trees? They don't have leaves. How do they get energy? The spider, that ornery spider, asks. Well, Charlie says pine trees do have leaves. Their leaves are needles. We've got lots of pine trees where we live, don't we, kids? Those are the leaves of the pine. They're needles. Let's check the flower. That's where the good stuff is, says Charlie. Oh, yeah, says the fly. I love how flowers smell. Charlie says, that smell is nectar. As we eat nectar, pollen rubs off on us. When we go to another plant, that pollen drops off. The new plant uses the pollen to make a seed. Some plants, like apple trees, make the seed inside of a fruit. That's how plants reproduce. Or, in other words, make more of themselves. The beetle down here says, wait, didn't you say your football was a seed? Maybe we can get another one. We'll have to find a seed that hasn't sprouted yet. A seed does that when it gets into soil. Then it grows into a new plant. And then the cricket down here, does every plant have a flower? And Charlie says, nope, a pine tree has cones instead. And the fly goes, now I know why I never liked pine trees. So remember, the pine trees down here, they get cones instead of what we know as flowers. I found a seed. Charlie, do you want to play football with us? But that ornery spider says, but he's not a real bug. And the cricket says, I don't care. Charlie is a good friend. And the beetle says, I agree. And then we've got the ant way down here. Says, I hope that boy leaves a cookbook on the table next time. I'd like to learn about cupcakes. And that is the end of our story with Charlie, the origami bee, and his bug friends. I really enjoyed that, and I hope you did too, and I hope you kind of got some ideas of some of the things of the different parts of the plant and what they do. we get to today, I am so excited because I was able to find a live plant. And since I'm not there with you, sometimes it's a little tough because I'd like for you to be able to not only see it, but feel it. And we will do that maybe later. But, so today we're gonna go over those 6 parts of the plants again. And I'm gonna show them to you in a real plant. And I'm not gonna tell you what kind of plant it is yet, but you'll figure it out pretty quick. So what the first part of the plant one of the parts of the plant that we talked about were the roots, correct? So here's our plant here. There you go. You see it's still, you can tell it's alive. Look at all the yummy, all that dirt that plant's saying is so yummy, that soil. And you see all these? So those are all the roots. And they go in lots of different sizes and they grow out from the seed. So the seed is already sprouted and the roots have grown, and that is where the nutrition from the soil, the roots take the nutrition, both the nutrition and water from the soil to grow. So as that plant grows and gets bigger and sprouts, remember that word sprouts? Then you get stems. So each one of these has a stem. And the stem of the plant is a bit like an elevator. So you takes nutrition up to the leaves and back down, back and forth, up and down the plant, nutrition and water, so that the whole plant can survive together. So I kind of always think of it as an elevator because it goes up and down. The stem also supports the whole plant. And you know how we talked about the roots in the book? We talked about how the roots kind of help stabilize the plant in the ground to keep it from falling over. As the stems get bigger, it helps support the whole plant. And again, carries water from the roots up to the leaves. So that's 2 parts, the roots and the stem. And these, I know you know what these are called, my friends, the leaves. And as you know, we've talked about how important the leaves are for photosynthesis. And remember that plants are the only living things that make their own food, and they do that through the leaves. So we've got all these leaves here. I bet it's a little hard to tell what kind of plant this is yet. We're gonna find out in a few. So we do the roots, we've talked about roots, we've talked about the stem, we've talked about the leaves. Then the next part you get to see, and I'm so excited I was able to find it. Here, my friends, is the same type of plant, and you see how the stem growing out, the roots are all underneath the soil, but look what's happening. It's also getting the flowers are beginning to pop out. There, and they're all different phases here. And this is what a flower looks like right before. What do flowers do? They make pollen, they make the seeds, and they also make the fruit of the plant, if it's a fruit-bearing plant. And this one is, and I know we may not know yet, but we're getting there. So I was excited to find one with so many different sizes and the different stages of where the plant was. From itty bitty, see there's new little leaves here, and then the flowers start, and then the petals grow on the flowers. But eventually those flowers will turn into, my friends, the fruit of the plant. And I know you know what that is. Beautiful, wonderful strawberries, and we're finally getting into the season that we can think about having those wonderful juicy strawberries in the through the summer. So the fruit actually protects the seeds. And why I was glad to be able to do strawberries, because this is a little easier to see. All those are all seeds in there. And those are the seeds that in the baby plant that grows into a big plant. So in this case, for strawberries, that's where the seeds are. In our book, we talked about the seeds being in the apple. So the fruit itself protects the seeds. So those are all 6 parts of the plant. And I know you've heard of them all before, but let's go over them together. Number 1, we can start with roots. And then we have, what comes out of the roots? The stem. And from the stem, we get the green leaves. And then 4, we get the flowers. The 5th is the fruit. And certainly need the seeds, which was our 6th part of the plant that we talked about today. Just so you know, that is not all parts of the plant, but those are the main parts that we talk about today, and the things that they do to keep all those the plants alive, just like we need things. So those are the 6 main parts, and our craft today actually is, there's all kinds of parts to it, and it may take you a little while, but that's okay. But you guess what you get to use today with your craft? You're gonna use your magnifying glass finally for one of our lessons. And so we're gonna start with roots, just like we talked about. And it's so cool. Now I'm gonna use my big magnifying glass just because we're on video. But, so, let me show you this here. Let me backtrack a little bit. This is what our craft is for today. And I'll go over a little bit with you about how to put it together, but there'll be a picture of it for you to go by. But you'll have ways, you'll get to draw and cut your own plant, and as you can tell, strawberry plant. And you'll be able to label each part that we talked about today, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. And then you'll also have a sheet that explains the function of those parts. So I use twine for you to be able to symbolize the roots. And the reason I did that is, look at all, so that's that twine. You see that twine, and you see all the little hairs that come out. That's like symbolizes the roots, the tiny roots that start growing out of the main root of the plant as it reaches out in the soil to get water and nutrition. So that's why you can still use you can use your magnifying glass that you have in your detective bag. So, and see how all that kind of looks like a root, the root part of the plant. So you've got roots. And next we've got, so the brown, of course, symbolizes the dirt. And you'll just glue that onto the back here, or onto the top of the blue part. Then the roots, you can cut the string into different sizes because the roots are all different lengths and they kind of go all over searching for those nutrition in that water. So that's the root part. And then the stem, you could just use your markers or crayons to draw the stem of the plant and the leaves here. And again, this is your plant. So your leaves, you'll put as many leaves as you like. I did send 3 strawberries that you'll be able to cut out in color and add to your plant. And then we've got the label here for fruit. And so those are the leaves. And then I wanted to explain this flower a little bit because that is, remember we looked over here in the real flower, how it was a white flower with a little yellow middle that will become the strawberry. Well, I wanted to make sure we symbolized that pretty well. And you'll find a cotton ball in there. And all I did to make this flower part is to tear your cotton ball into 4 different balls. And then you roll it up in your palm. And then you roll another one up in your palm. And you roll that one more. And finally, that 4th one. And when you do that, you use your glue stick on your paper and you just add those 4 different petals of the flower to represent the flower. And then of course you've got your yellow construction paper to do the center of the flower to make it look like the strawberry flower. All right, my friends, so the one last thing that I did share is what it does. And these are the descriptions of the different parts of the plant, of what their functions are, what they do. So for example, and you'll be able to cut these out so you can be able to label each part of the plant and what that part does. So for example, we labeled the seeds that are in the strawberry plant here, and then I used the description of what it does. I've remembered seeds grow into new plants. So you can label your whole picture with what the part of the plant is and then what it does. So you'll have all those different things to have your own strawberry plant, 6 parts, and put it together. So that's our craft for the day. And last but not least, of course, oops, nope, not quite last. And one thing we'll need to do, of course, is add to your journal. Remember, we've got our plant detective journals, and we got the parts of the plant on this one. And on here, remember, you have to record what you learned today. So we got the 6 parts of the plant, and then I drew a flowering plant, and those are my version of red bell peppers because I love bell peppers. And that is the fruit, and these are the flowers. Actually, bell pepper flowers look a whole lot like those strawberry flowers. So you can draw whatever kind of fruit or vegetable plant that you like. And that'll be your recording in your journal for you to keep. And then, my friends, last but not least, as usual, such an easy, fun, on your sheet that I sent home, you will have seen pictures. First off, you will have a picture of the craft that you're going to do today. So if you need some remembrance on some help remembering which parts of the plants, that'll be there to help you. And I sent some pictures because it's springtime, yay! And I just did a little fruit and veggie snack for myself with mandarin oranges, a dried cranberry, and some lettuce, and it makes for a nice, cute, delicious little treat, nutritious treat for me. And there are some other samples on your sheet here. Just a quick note, you can, I'm gonna ask you to keep this particular sheet in your detective bag because we're gonna use this backside on at our next visit. So, my friends, I know this was a little longer. I appreciate your time. I hope you have a wonderful day. Cannot wait to see you until next time. Happy spring, my friends, and stay curious.